Here we go. Yeah, I'd like to call the Finance Audit, Tendering, and Administration Committee Wednesday, March 16th, 2026 at 12 noon. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I've done that. Number 2 on the agenda is declarations of conflict of interest. Are there any? Not seeing any. Thank you. Approval of agenda. Motion for that. Mayor Brown, seconded by Deputy Mayor Yankoff. Thank you. Approval of the previous draft minutes are March 4th, 2025. Moved by Mayor Brown, seconded by Councillor Bernard. Thank you. Number 5, business arising from those minutes. Was there any business arising from the minutes of March 4th, 2020? No. Should that be March 5th, 2026? Anyway. Typo. So 2026. Business arising from those minutes. Mayor Brown?
Mr. Chair, there appears to be some misunderstanding what goes where in terms of budgetary expenditures as it goes through the standing committee, the finance committee. Like this 3 years that I was on finance committee back in early 2000, any financial matters went through the standing committee for finance and administration. So are we going to get that corrected, that pathway, like why some of these resolutions go to the standing committee and then don't go to finance? Is there a way to clear that up, just to, I think, mitigate some of the misunderstanding mitigate the misunderstanding of the process?
Chair,
Yeah,
His Worship, certainly we can endeavor to get some consistency there, Your Worship, and provide some clarity. As you're aware, we've had quite a bit of turnover and change in our finance department, and not surprisingly, probably some things didn't get the focus that they would have normally had. But we will make sure that there's consistency moving forward.
And just to follow up, Mr. Chair, on page 4, and in terms of the procurement changes, amendments, they're listed on page 4, covering invitational competition, request for quotations, request for tender. Just to clarify, so that 10%, is it 10% or 5% for local content?
Mr. Chair, to your worship, so 10% is the maximum. So the 10% is the maximum, but it's subject to the discretion of the departmental heads when they are putting out their RFP to indicate as to whether they are using 5% or what, but 10% is the max.
Oh, that will be part of the tender? They'll say this will be within 5%, if it's within 5% or within 10%, that local content will be part of the criterion when we're looking at price? Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, Your Lordship.
And just, again, price is only one criterion. There are there's experience, there's a number of evaluation points that are covered in the tender document. So people should understand, anyone that's listening, is that this is only one part of many other criterions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does that conclude discussion on the minutes? Not seeing any other questions on the minutes, so we'll move to here we are to discussions, reports, and today the sole purpose of the committee meeting for finance is to review the draft capital budget for the years budget year 26, 27, and pleased that we have anyway. It's we certainly the department has been challenged, over the last little bit, with staffing and support. But pleased that we do have our finance manager and Amy McQuillan, who's with us today, and Assistant Manager of Finance, Isaac Awa, and they're going to be a big part of the presentation of the draft capital budget here. And we'll get started. We'll get started with it. I'll pull it up here. It has been circulated to members of the committee, and there's been just a couple of little revisions on those numbers that you received last evening on this draft capital budget that Amy will speak to. Basically has to do with the fire station and fire station and policing, I believe. So you have the the draft capital budget in front of you. What I'm going to do is go right over to the high level numbers for the total request. You'll see there's a net capital ask revised from numbers you may would have had it last evening for a total gross of for the city of total gross the city in sewer and water. The city is 57,802,068. And sewer and water is 8,555,752 for a total combined city, water, and sewer for 66,357,820. We'll start with the city portion first. You can see there's the gross numbers there by department, and we'll just I'm going to hand it over to Amy to take us through the high level numbers, and then I'm sure there's going to be questions on the detail, which we'll hopefully be able to speak to as well. So thank you, Amy. I'll turn it over to you. Thanks.
So, Mr. Chair, just before you move it over, so yeah, the figures have changed since we got this last night. I'm not sure where you're seeing 66 million in total city and water and sewer. I'm seeing 70.3.
Okay. Can you take that, Amy?
Yes, absolutely. In response to Councillor through the chair, those changes we've reviewed this morning. The main change is funding for the new fire station project. It was all listed in this current or next current fiscal, which is not realistic, as we believe that the project will actually be done over the course of 2 years. So we reduced that from 12 million to 6 million for this current year. And there was also some changes to the police overall budget, where we also reduced some items in there after review with the CAO and the chief of police.
So, Amy, the figure that's in here is 70,374,000. Is that the figure we're going with, or are we going with 66 million?
We're proposing the 66.
Okay, so that's a new figure, then it's not on this document.
I'm sorry?
That's a new figure, it's not on this document?
Councillor Bernard, if you were to reopen your OneDrive, I believe Nancy has updated it, if you have your OneDrive there.
I did, and they had the OneDrive, the one I got last night was 103 million.
Yeah.
So this one's 70 million.
The
So I'm
one
wondering
that
where
I
you get
have
the 66.
now says 66, but anywho, I don't know, I know these OneDrives
Deputy?
can be quirky.
Excuse me,
Anyway,
Mr. Chair?
so 66 million is the figure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, 66 million is the new net figure.
So, Mr. Chair, just going through, I'm on page 8 of my document from the OneDrive. And it's got 25, 26, 25, 26 carry forward, 26, 26, 26, 27. Okay, that's the right document, correct? That's the updated document? Yes. That is? Because on the last line, it's 66,357,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was on the right one. Okay. you have that one, Counselor
Yep.
Bernard? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, everybody's looking at the same numbers as it relates to the 66,357 combined, city and sewer and water. Okay. All right, Amy, if you just want to go through just the, I guess the high numbers, and then we'll just go by, probably go by department.
Sure. So environment and sustainability and transit, we're looking at a net capital of 4.676499. That includes carry forward from this current fiscal of 2 million, with a new net capital of 2.6. Fire department, new net capital is 9.4, with next year's capital of 7.5 and a carry forward proposed from this current fiscal of 1.9. IT, new net capital of 775, with 665 for budget 2026-27 and a carry forward of 110. Parks and Rec is just over 7 million with new capital of 1.5 and a carry forward of 5.5. Police, no carry forward and just a new budget of 494. And then Public Works is broken down into all the various departments or jurisdictions. So 635 for urban beautification and a carry forward of 155. New budget of 155 and a carry forward of 480. Municipal buildings, proposed budget is 7.27 million, with a new budget of 5.8 and a carry forward of 1.45. Traffic and pedestrian signals, no carry forward, just a new proposed budget of 745,000. Street lighting, no new budget, just carry forward of 250,000. Park aids and major repairs, a new net of 4.375, which is 100,000 new for next fiscal and a carry forward of 4.275 from this fiscal. Land and property is 1.63, which is a new budget of 630 and a carry forward of 1 million. Street rehabilitation, net budget is 7.9, with a new budget of 7.11 and a carry forward of 7.92. Sidewalks and multipurpose trails, new net budget is 6.8. That is new budget of 5.745 and a carry forward of 1.08. Storm water management is a new budget of 1.17 with a new ask of 1.12 and carry forward of 50,000. And Public Works fleet is all a new budget of 2.26. We also have in there, the carry is an ask of 855,000, or the Bell Alliance siren, and the Eastlink is an ask of 1.145. Water and sewer total is a new net of 8.555, with a new ask of 4.011 and a carry forward of 4,000,544. I'm happy to go into any of the details of those if any of the councils are interested.
Yeah, I just got one.
Councillor Bernard.
So under where am I here? Sidewalks and multipurpose trails. So 3.5 million, is that what was budgeted last year?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, under sidewalks and multipurpose trails, the 3.5 million? Mm-hmm. Is that what was budgeted last year? It is. Okay.
That's, yeah, so the first column in your document, that was the original budget for this current fiscal, as well as
Yeah.
any funding. And then in columns F, G, and H is any carry forward or carry forward partner funding.
So it's showing here we have 1,080,000 carryover.
That is correct.
So, are we proposing to add a couple more million to that? Is that why we're at 5.7?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
So just to give you an idea of what it looks like year over year for our budget, last year, or this current fiscal year, 25, 26, our total budget was $70,374,960. We received 9.652068 in partner funding, which gave us a net capital of $60,722,892. The proposed budget as it stands for the 2026-27 budget, our total budget is $97,665,865. Our partner funding is increasing quite a bit, up to $31,308,045, which gives us a new net capital of $66,357,820. So we're looking at a year-over-year variance of $27 million increase in our overall capital budget, which is offset by a $21 million increase in partner funding. So the net change year-over-year to the capital budget for the city as proposed is $5.6 million, or a 9% increase year-over-year.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm just
go ahead,
wondering,
Councilor Bernard.
If we budget 3.5 million in sidewalks and we still have $1 million left over, so when the $1,080,000 is what's projected to be done, but hasn't been finished yet, I assume, so that's the carryover. So I'm just wondering why we're going a little over $2 million more for 2027.
I can speak on that. Thank you, Councillor Bernard. So we originally budgeted 3.5, I'm just trying to find, 3.525 last year. If you recall, we did come back and ask, we did two packages. We came back and asked for an increase of a little over $1.5 million to do the full set.
Because
Because we didn't.
previous year, the 3.5, we had already spent some of that, so you actually only had 2 million. So you come back to ask for the other 1.5 to bring it up to 3.5.
Correct. I believe that's why. So the 1,080,000 that we are carrying forward is to finish off the streets that were awarded in 2025 that didn't get completed. As you recall, we kind of, the snow came a little bit early and we still had a few streets that weren't done. So we have 1,080,000. So those have already been awarded, are under contract. That's just getting carried forward for them to be done. And the additional 5,745 is to do the year 3 of the 5-year plan to do all the sidewalks that are on that list.
Okay. So if I hear you right, what you're saying is there's an extra $2 million of sidewalks that you'd like to get completed this coming year over last year.
I guess technically based off the allocated budget last year was 3.5. In total for this year, we're asking, with the 1,080,000 carry forward, we're asking for 6,825, 6,825.
And I guess I'm trying to figure out why. If we've always used a 3.5, I can see that going up a bit, but you're up to 6.8 now. I know that's including the carryover.
Yeah, that's correct. I
So
think that
is there a reason, like usually we try and go with the status quo budget? Is there a reason we're pounding that one up?
So I guess the reason is the 5-year new sidewalk and multi-use path plan that was adopted. In order to stay on track with that, to finish off year 3, and then we have 2 more years after that, that is kind of when we've, averaged out the costs and the streets that we can do every year. For year 3, the estimated ask is 5,745.
Okay. Thank you.
Chair, just to the council.
CAO?
Yeah, thank you. Chair, through Council Bernard, Council Bernard, is it your concern that we're budgeting money that we potentially don't have time to spend? Is that the? That's one of the concerns. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and on average, the other concern would be on average, we've been spending around $3 million in sidewalk, 3.5, and now we're more than doubling that to go to 6.8. So how do we expect it to get done? So, and I would think, I understand, I think when I looked at last night, I think street repaving was up to 5.1 million. And I'm just wondering, is that enough? Because we know what shape the streets are in this year. So it might be worth looking at through Public Works, I guess, whether they want to keep that at the 6.8 or you want to take some of that, put it into street resurfacing. That's just a question. I know that could come to council tonight. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to follow up on that point.
Councillor Mayor Brown.
So street resurfacing, the condition of many streets and roads, it's not just the paving, it's the subgrade work that has to be. So street resurfacing is just Band-Aiding the issue. It's what's below the pavement. So is that under street rehabilitation? Is that where that is? So street rehabilitation, where is the line item for that?
5.164.
No, 5.1 is for street resurfacing. It's the street rehabilitation that we have to also take into consideration. It's not just what's on top, it's what's below. That's the issue. So that's it, just doing the surface. It's not the rebuild of it. And both Albert and Richard know that. And on that, there was also the issue of what I noticed you have it as new. If you can just go up to that. So have you applied any budget in that yet, or what's the purpose of leaving that blank? It's King and Dorchester Power Rehab, Queen Street Market Zone, future projects. Do you have any forecasted amounts, numbers for that, Albert, or maybe I'm missing it?
Thank you, Your Worship, through Chair. We will look into those numbers. They were listed as new initiatives, so there could be an error with the sheet. I'll follow up.
Yeah, so 26, 27, it's up there now? It's blank. That must mean it's a blank check. That's good.
I can partially speak on that through the chair to Mayor Brown. I think the detail sheet there is showing a lot of projects. Even if you scroll up, like there's St. Peter's Road Roundabout and Seaview Boulevard reconstruction. I think
They're
that's-
done.
Yeah, some of those are done, and the new ones that are there, I think, were placeholders for work that we were anticipating. But once we started actually putting funding together for all of these streets and seeing when we could actually actualize a lot of these. We didn't put anything directly in these line items. For example, North River Road Capitol intersection, we did for that, but the future projects, we just know there's the future full rehabilitation projects we have to do, or the King Dorchester Power one and the Province House Master Plan projects. We're still early enough for those, so a lot of those are under our engineering capital
design?
line item, engineering design, under
Okay.
street rehabilitation, because
Okay.
we won't be able to, we don't have full design on those projects yet. So we've really taken a look at these capital projects and tried to make sure that the funding we put in and the projects we've picked are ones that are have been priority, but are also far enough along in design and can actually get spent, because we do want to spend the total budget this year.
Yeah, okay, and there, Amy, is the question I ask every year. So if that's $60 million, 60,722,000, that was budget last year, right? Can you just show me how much was spent of that in this fiscal year, for 25, 26? I was trying to look for it, and maybe you can point it out on the big screen.
I don't have the file in front of me, but I did pull some numbers before the meeting, Your Worship, and we're currently looking at a spend of about 62% of this capital so
Yeah,
far.
62, yeah, because if you look at the corporate history, it's usually 50%. I know last year, someone was trying to say, no, we spent more than 50%, we spent most of it. Well, no, you didn't, because you can just look through the budget itself. If I go back up to the fire department, let me go to the next page. Yeah, so for the fire department, it's going up to, for city budget this year, 9.4 million, correct? Is that what I see? Or is it 7.5? It says total request, city's budget, 9.4, and then net capital, 9.4, but in the green, you have it at 7.5. So are we taking the last column, which I think it is the final number, correct? So 9.4, and did you say, Amy, that this is a one of 2 years? Like next year there will be another, or maybe it's there, or I've run out of, there's your 5-year capital. That's not part of our document, is it? Go ahead.
To the chair for response to your worship. Yes, it would be an additional 8 million for the firehouse next year. Initially in the file, we had that whole 12 million listed in this fiscal, which was not realistic. We realized that to get a new firehouse, it wasn't going to happen in 1 year. So we spread that out over the course of 2 years, being realistic that the planning phase would be mostly this year, with hopefully the final would be in the next fiscal.
Okay, so does that make it 12 million, or does that make it 17 million?
No, it's still 12 million. We just split it out over 2 years versus it was initially in next year, the full 12.
What's that? Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Chair, just some discussion.
CAO?
Yeah, just discussion, there's $1 million in fire engines in that budget also, Your Worship.
Of that 12 million?
Not of the building, an additional,
Yeah.
yeah.
So our estimated cost for the new fire station is 12 million, correct? And then you add $1 million on for fire trucks and other equipment. Correct?
2 million for fire trucks.
2 million, okay. So again, I'm just trying to work this out in my mind, is that if you build a new station and you already have station 1, station 2, station 3, you'll need more than 2 fire engines. This is what I've been asking, yeah.
Mr. Chair, through to Mr. Worship, Your Worship, yes, we have that budgeted actually in the 5-year forecast.
Okay.
There's multiple purchases, I believe, for the engines across a series of 3 years.
Okay, so that increases the total budget for the fire department, correct? More than 12 million, because you have to look at the equipment other than just fire trucks, but other equipment that goes with fighting fires.
Are you talking just for next fiscal?
Well, look at your 5-year expenditure plan right there.
5 years would be total 21.93.
21, what is it?
21,930,000.
And that's building and trucks and equipment, okay. Okay.
Councillor Yanka, or Deputy Mayor, sorry.
I just noticed under fire department, we have the fast response craft. I thought we'd moved on and there was funding for that. And I just see we still have that in our budget for this year. Any update on why that's there? Or maybe I'm just reading it wrong.
Well, thank you, Deputy. You're right, there has been, it seems, a lot of discussion around this point for the last couple of budgets, I think, my memory. I don't know if CAO can take us, share any more on that. I believe it's always been I think from our perspective, from CAO, correct me if I'm wrong, is that, we felt there was a pretty good case there for, for some partner funding, just due to the location of the waterway that this craft would be in. But CAO?
Thank you, Chair, through to Councillor Yankoff. We did have initial discussions. We brought it up with our federal counterparts regarding funding, but we have not secured any federal funding to offset this cost. So it did come forward from the fire department again as a capital cost, as a capital ask.
So just to confirm, CAO, take that, you never got an answer, but you never heard no either, I guess. Is that fair to say? And possible, there could be support there possibly?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, Chair. We didn't get a yes, but we didn't get a no either.
Deputy Mayor?
So just as a follow-up, Chair, so by leaving it in, does that mean we're committing to it with or without the funding? Or, yeah, just help me understand that, because I was under the understanding that we weren't going to proceed with that without some federal partner funding, because, although we want to be a good partner, it is federal jurisdiction, and although we want to be a good partner and be concerned with public safety, I'm just wondering, like, by leaving it there, does that mean that we're committed with or without the funding?
Thank you, Deputy. CAO, want to respond to that?
Well, Chair, if it is approved in the capital budget, it would be approved for the departments to access that funding. So, yes, if we approve it, it's available to be spent, so.
What's committee's thought on it? It's a $200,000 line item. Councillor Bernard, how do you feel?
On the craft? I forget what the chief had said last time we talked to him. I know the craft was basically out of order. It's like, if I remember correctly, that conversation. And they were going to look at federal funding, but our craft for that is now done. It's out of order, is it, Chief? Or Chief, CAO?
Chair, through to Councillor Bernard, that is my understanding that it is not serviceable right now.
So anything that happens now, anything that's been going on, who does the rescue right now? 'Cause I think that boat's been out of order for a while.
Well, I can tell you that there has been, again, I don't want to shift responsibility here, but it is not our jurisdiction
That's right, yeah.
to respond. However, given the proximity to our municipality, and expectations from our citizens, we do respond. And but Crossroads has a boat, the RCMP has a boat, Coast Guard has a presence. Again, this ask started with $100,000 and then adding a $400,000 ask on top of that for this year.
So it's 100,000 carryover?
Yeah.
No? What's that?
Yeah, did you say, CAO, yeah, it is not our jurisdiction, correct?
No.
The waterways, except we are jurisdiction to the high water mark in the city. The harbor itself is federal jurisdiction. But given proximity to our city and we've always played a responsible role in supporting them and supporting citizens in response. But, you know, that's kind of the basis of our case to the feds, is that we want to be an active, responsible partner, but, you know, if they want us to meet that expectation, then they should be supporting us from a funding perspective to meet that expectation. But this cost has grown from $100,000 to $500,000 now.
So,
Councilor Bernard?
yeah, so from my recollection from this is going back now a few years, but it was always the thought anyway of, it is federal jurisdiction. We would be prepared to help, and I think at one point we were prepared to pay 50% of the cost of a new boat. Yeah, so to bore the whole cost on the municipality for something that's not our responsibility, I don't think is fair, but I'd be okay 50% dollars.
How does committee feel about that, Mayor Brown?
Yep. So the federal MP of the area, Sean Casey, he represents the same population that we represent under the 10 wards, 6 MLAs. Like, we're representing the same people. I leave it in. I think we just have to make the purchase, get it done, and have it available, because right now, if someone does get into a dangerous situation and we don't have a boat to go out to rescue them, we're depending on Crossroads to come from the roundabout out there by Mason Road into the harbor. Look, there's a cost to safety. I'd leave it in. That's my point.
Deputy Mayor?
Just to, I don't disagree with his worship, but I also will quote back to what his worship has often said is, once we commit to doing someone else's responsibility, we're in, and now we have to own it. And I'm all about the same thing. It is important to represent these folks and it's public safety, but we commit, it's our responsibility now. And I think that it's not fair that the feds are putting that responsibility onto the municipality and not ponying up their share. And, you know, maybe Intergovernmental Affairs needs to have a meeting with Sean Casey and his office for them to get their stuff together and start ponying up and committing to the people that he represents. I don't know what to say. It's public safety. I get it. I mean, I don't know. But if it stays, we're in and we'll be buying it. I don't know what to say. What's the committee think?
Go ahead.
And I understand it too, and I mean, you know, that's why we've been doing it at city cost in the past until the boat has no longer been serviceable. That was at a city cost. I agree with the deputy mayor. I think we don't mind doing it. We don't mind taking on the responsibility, but I think there's a shared financial resources here to be able to pick up a new boat, a new rescue craft. I don't think it's a big ask, and I think the offer of us coming in at 50% dollars is a big number for the city of Charlottetown. So it'd be nice to have that conversation with the MP and see what he says. But I think that's the fairest thing to do, because as I agree with the deputy mayor on the responsibilities and the jurisdictions. And I mean, once you start crossing that line, you know, we're always asked to stay in our own lane, and this one here we're crossing over because it's a safety issue. So we're doing our best to keep up the safety issue. Right now we don't have a safety rescue craft. So to buy a new one is, I understand, between $400,000 and $500,000. So it would be, is the onus on the city taxpayers to pay that, or is the onus on the federal government to come in and help us? That's the question. If it's their jurisdiction, I think we're doing pretty good by offering 50%. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, just to follow up, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
You know, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Brown.
if you look at the agreements we have with the federal government, CCBF, Canadian Communities Building Fund, SHIF, Canadian Housing Infrastructure Fund, HAF, Housing Auxiliary Fund. Now, what the feds did there with the Housing Auxiliary Fund, in the past, it went through the province because the province is an order of government, like the federal government in the Constitution. So they said, look, let's send the money directly to the municipalities. There's lots of cases where, you know, when we're in, we're in. And I think we've been talking about this for 3 or 4 years. I'm just saying, let's just get it done, and then if we have to and we will negotiate with our federal counterparts through the MP of the area, Sean Casey, to say they have to pony up or they have to provide funding, but let's just get out there and purchase the boat and get it in service. Because right now, what we have over there now is not serviceable. If it went out into the harbor, it'd be down under. Okay.
Yeah, as chair, I'm prepared to advance it up to council as a recommendation as discussed around the table. I guess, come to the table on the responsibility, but, perhaps with the understanding that there'd be another go with our counterparts, federal counterparts, to see if they, would enter into, a 50% cost share, as Councillor Bernard's talked about. So we'll leave it in there and put it up to council, and if you want to discuss it further there, they'll have that choice.
Okay.
I guess one of the questions I would have, Mr. Chair, do we have the 66 million, are we, as a finance committee, okay with that number? Are we looking to reduce that number?
Good question.
That would kind of tell us if we have cuts to make or not. That might make a decision on, like this one, easy. Or easier.
Yeah, you're, the 66,357,820.
Yep. Is that a doable figure, or do we have to pull back from that?
Yeah, and just 1 second, Councillor Bernard. So just, Amy, if I could, just in relation to Councillor Bernard's question, which is a fair question, I understood you to say just briefly before our committee meeting started, there was a bit of an analysis being done, just where we stood on that question in terms of, maybe I'll just have you comment on that.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Chair. We're in the process of doing like a cash flow analysis to see what we can afford. Seeing that the difference versus last year is only an additional 5.6. Early analysis looks like we will be fine, but we want to confirm, especially when it comes to grants and funding and the timing of when those come in. So we're hoping to have something to council either this evening or during tomorrow's special meeting, but we're still working on that.
Could I just follow up, Mr. Chair? So, Amy, if you look at the 26-27 total budget, right, it's 97,665,000. Last year's total budget was, well, I think it was 53. The total budget was 60 million, and that's with partner funding, is that correct? Like, what was our total before partner funding? I'm just looking at page 105 of our document from last year.
To Mr. Chair, through to His Worship. The number actually listed in the budget book is net of any grant funding that we would have received.
That's last year's. This year, you're showing the grant.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So if
okay,
you compare apples to apples, the 60,722,000 that's listed in the budget book for last year
net.
is comparable to 66,357 for this year.
But what was our, like, it's not here, but what was our total?
Oh, last year total budget was 70,374,960, and this year's is 97.
So our partner funding has increased that much?
Yes.
Most.
Partner funding has gone up, 21,655,977.
That's federal and provincial contributions, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
From the 9.6, it's gone up to 21.
Yeah. So could I just ask also, if I go back to page 40 in our finance audit and fiscal services budget for 25, 26, this is the one I always like going back to. Fiscal expenses. Because this created a lot of discussion last year. Our depreciation was 12 million, we budgeted 12,711,000, okay? So you already stated we only spent 62% of that net budget of 60 million. So will that affect our depreciation? Or are we just going to pay the 12 million on depreciation? Because that's a line item in our operational budget. So did that evaporate or did that go down? It must have gone down. If we didn't spend the $60,722,000, then the debt servicing of that would be less, correct?
You are correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So just to follow up on that, when we do depreciation, we do it as a full year for all items.
Yeah.
So whenever we purchase an item, obviously that's going to vary the depreciation and how it's calculated. So timing of the purchases also factor into that number. So the number that's put in the budget is what we consider a higher number to be safe. So it should come in lower than that because one, we're underspent, and two, certain items wouldn't be into a full year of service with depreciation.
So Amy, again, if you look at depreciation, the rules, again, they're not rules, they're guidelines, right? They're accounting guidelines, they're not regulatory requirements. I think we used a higher number. There's different percentages for different categories, correct?
That is correct.
Because the value for, let's say, a building can last 40 years. So amortize that over 40 years, the cost of servicing that debt is longer, but in depreciation terms of your fiscal year for this year, next year, it's lower. So I think we went above some of those guidelines last year, if you look at the budget documents, is that correct?
I believe so. I think with last year, and again, maybe this could be towards the changing of the finance team, but I believe it was a flat rate that was used for last year. So we're working on getting that more detailed so we can tell based on timing of purchases as well as each individual item. So it was a flat rate across last year, which was a higher rate to kind of account for certain items.
Certain categories. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. The other question I have is, again, as Councillor Bernard said, we don't always spend the total budget. And again, being here since 2018, we put a lot of money into the budget, capital budget, but it's not always expended because time, the runway runs out. Like we run it out of that time runway. So one item that I always look at is Public Works on Public Works fleet. It's always at $2.6 million. Is that still with? Are we still with Enterprise? Are we still working out some of that contract with Enterprise? Trying to figure out. I don't know if you would know, Amy. Maybe your chief engineer would know.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor Brown. I don't believe any of that is coming directly from the capital ask. I think the capital ask that's there, and again, what's changed since previous years is under that Public Works fleet, there is police vehicles, parks and recreation vehicles, and other departments incorporated there as well. So it is fleet for other departments as well. As for I would have to look into the contract with Enterprise and where that's at. I believe we are still paying something or finalizing that, but that isn't built into that capital ask that's shown there. I think that may be in the operational budget somewhere.
Mr. Chair, just a last question. Amy, this is about our CCBF fund. I know Councillor Bernard has always asked for, where are we at with it? But if I look at the next 2024 to 2025 to 28, 2029, we're looking at about 19 million coming from that CCBF fund. Is there any, is that the full expenditure of the fund, or is there anything, is there any amounts left in unspent, in an unspent category? I'd like to just find out about that. It comes up every year, and I'd like to, you know, that's funding coming in. And if we do get the SHIF funding, the SHIF is the Canadian Housing Infrastructure Fund, and we're looking at 3 projects for it. And I think they're 100-cent dollars too from the federal government. So I'd like to just make sure that we're tracking those numbers. And it'd be nice to get an updated depreciation, what we spend on a depreciation expense account. Maybe not tonight, but when we do our operational budget. It'd be great to see that. Thank you.
Just 1 second, Councillor Bernard, just want to make a comment. I know, Amy, I know both you and I are taking notes there just on the comment, because I know it's, Mayor Brown's referenced this a couple of times on the fleet thing. Just if, I don't know if you made a note there, just to confirm, I guess, that piece as it relates to the gross number that's in there on, for that, just what part of that represents still, or how close we are to, I guess, been finished off it. Councillor Bernard, do you have a question? Mayor Brown?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Amy, Isaac, CAO.
Oh,
Alban.
if you're finishing off, I do have one more question.
Okay, no, all right, Councillor Bernard, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, was there any discussion in the capital budget on the expansion to the East Link Center? I understand that there was, your worship, you had a crew and go to Ottawa, and the information looked pretty positive. So is that something we would discuss now, or do we wait to see if both partners are in?
Mayor Brown, CAO, or anyone else that want to comment on that?
Chair, through to Council Bernard, you know, I'm being realistic about it. I think we'd need to see the framework around the federal funding and what commitments were made. You know, it's a substantial capital ask, so we need to know that there was partners secured to enter into that. And again, as you know, capital budgets, you can add to them as things evolved. But the East Link Center have not, other than their presentation, their capital asks do not include this at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with the CAO that discussions that we had in Ottawa with the Department of Infrastructure, Housing, and Canada Lands is still preliminary. There is the Canada Build Strong Fund. It's just starting to roll out now, so that will require an application from us. But there's also, Councillor Bernard, there's also the possibility of building a curling rink. You know, there's some other possibilities out there that that would, I'm sure, meet the needs of some of our staff that work here. You know, that enjoy curling. That we would say that be a good build and a good item to have as part of our inventory.
Just on that, Councillor Bernard, I do believe, I haven't heard this secondhand, but I do believe the manager of the East Link Center, John Abbott, was up with, I don't know, with that group or whatever,
Yes, he
but
was.
certainly was there, I think, and may be good to get him talking to us again or getting some kind of update as to what his, what his understanding and reality is, where we're at with the, this possible project.
Well, I can tell you, Councillor McAleer, the meeting that we had with Mayor Sutcliffe Brian Sutcliffe for the city of Ottawa. They're looking at replacing their stadium for the Ottawa 67s out in Lansdowne Park, replaced with a 5,500 seat arena,
I've seen that.
and it's $180 million. Peterborough, the Peterborough Petes, they want to replace Memorial Stadium, which is, I think, is about an 80-year-old stadium. It's an old stadium. They're looking at 180 plus 200. City of Sudbury, which is also part of the OHL, 200 plus. So we can't afford new, but we have to look at doing something at the Eastlink Multi-Use Sports Entertainment Center.
I will say, I was talking, I was talking to John Abbott, and his thought was it was a very positive meeting, and they're looking for shovel-ready projects, and this checked off all the boxes. So having said that, that's the federal government. You still have the provincial government to commit, and then we have to be ready too. So, yeah.
Yep, no, it's, something we have to wait on, and I know it was a big ask and a big number last year. The money was advanced to basically get it potentially shovel-ready and blueprints, and that work was done, and that money's been, been committed, so we have to, anyway, it's, we'll just have to be, I guess, patient, see how those discussions and money possibly flows for those sorts of projects.
That's right, Mr.
Anything else?
Mr. Chair. If
Mayor
they're
Brown?
there to cut the ribbon, they better be there to cut the check.
Deputy Mayor?
So if we're applying that principle to the Eastlink Center, that we're not going to put money in the capital budget because we know we can, it's a a living document, then why wouldn't we apply the same principle to the watercraft? Why are we putting that in until we get word from the feds? If we're not putting money in for the Eastlink Center till we get word from the feds, like, why are we picking and choosing which ones we hold off and which ones we don't if it's a living document? Just kind of, where's the litmus test for that? How do we choose?
I don't know if I have a short answer for you. I don't know, maybe the difference in scale, I guess, in terms of the dollars between those examples, I guess. But no, it's a fair question. I don't know if anybody else in the committee feels different about it or has an opinion on that.
I think, Mr. Chair, you've stated that you just want to forward this on to the whole council. And again, that will be the discussion. And I think, Deputy Mayor, I think that also applies to, can you just scroll down to the new, or scroll up? Those new projects that we are looking at under capital. Yeah, so there's another area too, Madam Deputy Mayor. Those are areas that have not been given a number, and that, again, I think will have to be a discussion we have as soon, very soon. And it is a living document, but I think what we're trying to do is, this is the core capital budget, and this is based on $66 million with $30 million from our partners. That's pretty impressive. Thank you.
But I do think that, though, going back to the jurisdictional question, that we put 200,000 and move that ahead. With the caveat that the federal government meet us halfway to buy the rescue craft. Because right now, the RCMP are doing the work. Mm-hmm. They're doing any rescue. It's their jurisdiction. So if it's something that you want us to take over, to me, I'm all right with putting $200,000 in towards the purchase of a rescue facility.
Deputy Mayor?
I agree with Councillor Bernard. The other thing I didn't see in here, that we've got a $30 million project happening down on Queen Street, and there was some talk about water and sewer infrastructure and maybe some bearing.
Those are the new items.
That is the new item?
Yeah, that
Okay.
would be-
But we don't have any money in there yet.
No, that's what I mean.
Amy's going to figure that out later for us. Okay? Yeah.
correct? That's my understanding, yeah.
Okay, any further questions? As you know, committee will be coming together again because it's a council piece tonight at 5 o'clock, so if there's anything further, I'm
Chair?
sure you'll, or Council Deputy Mayor, you got another question?
What did we decide on the safety craft? Are we changing the budget to 200 or are we leaving it as the 5? Yeah, I'd agree with Councillor Bernard on that one.
Mayor Brown?
I'd like to keep the 400, but majority rules when you talk about votes.
Okay, so to move the 200 up. Thank you. Okay, any more red lights? No more red lights. And none from staff or, okay, all right.
So, Mr. Chair, will this be going out to members of council today, like right
This
after?
afternoon?
This, it will, okay. That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So just call the meeting to adjourn. So moved, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Thank you. All right. Done, thank you.